This episode of The Casual is brought to you in part by Squarespace. For all your website needs, Squarespace delivers it in an all-around package to help you build a beautiful, integrated online presence.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Reggie Casual, and by now you've probably heard that Nike is getting a bit anxious due to the fact that while it's still massively the biggest sportswear apparel brand on the planet, more and more are flocking to other labels like New Balance and independent shoe brands. First, the facts, then my thoughts. According to a document of an internal meeting at Nike acquired by those guys at Complex, said Nike Sneakers Global Vice President Ron Ferris, "Our community is becoming disenfranchised by our low fairness numbers." You think, Ron? Ron continues, "Our fairness numbers are not where they should be. They're at like the mid-20s, talking about percentages. They need to be in the 80 percentages. The PowerPoint presentation also mentioned and warned that high heat and hype is killing the culture, and consumers are migrating towards New Balance and smaller independent brands. The company also acknowledges that they have been alienating traditional sneakerheads, and in particular Black, Brown, and Asian communities." That's just a funny statement. Anyway, the meeting also noted that the Sneakers app users increased by 57% in the last year, with demand for the app at around $1.69 billion. So while people are using it and signing up, fact is people aren't relying on it the way that Nike intends. But here's the crazy part. The Sneakers app demand went up by like 70% last year. Nike only met 7% of that demand. And that doesn't even mention the amount of bot sellers that are obviously a part of that equation, that's 7%. So let's say about 2 or 3% are actual real people. Farsi basically ends his presentation on the fact that Nike just isn't making enough product to meet demand, and as a result, consumers are flocking to other brands. But honestly, who didn't know this? Seriously, all of you out there right now are Nike execs, because we've been saying this like for years. But before we get too deep into that, I'll give you my thoughts on Nike's apparent revelations, or at least Ron's, right after this message from our sponsor, Squarespace.
In the fashion industry, the competition is fierce, and your presentation has to look solid from jump. That's where Squarespace comes in. Beautifully designed templates, easy to use web building tools, and social integration make Squarespace the perfect choice for the budding entrepreneur or even the savvy professional. Plus, by using our link, squarespace.com/thecasual, you could save 10% when you start. So get that business off the ground the right way and use Squarespace today.
Now, this isn't all the story, I get it, but I had to get my ducks in a row before I commented on such a ridiculous meeting. Nike knew damn well they were making enough to meet demand. Consumers have been screaming this for years. And the numerous amounts of foul play that we all witnessed was just on full display. Yeah, remember that time that the Nike exec got fired because her kid was selling Nikes off of the company credit card? Yeah, so it makes sense that Nike is a bit worried that maybe they're skipping out on some money and losing customers. But the problem isn't demand, what Ron is actually talking about. The problem is fairness in general. More product isn't gonna solve the bot and resale problem plaguing the sneaker community. But note, for me, resale isn't inherently bad, but when cats can circumvent the system to enrich themselves more than any one individual can, therein lies an issue. The Sneakers app doesn't work because it can be worked, and you honestly can't blame cats for finding a workaround because that's the nature of humanity. Get the bag. And there's no way to shame these individuals into stopping because money has no shame. Nike would do better by simply employing a different strategy with releases and the app altogether. Now, the only solution I have ever come up with is the staggered release, in which cats who want a particular sneaker would opt in via the app and be given a lottery on when they will get their sneaker instead of if. So for instance, limited sneaker comes out, you do the draw per usual, but instead of got 'em, you get a timed release. So for those that won on that day, they get the got 'em, but others will have like a 1 month or 2 months or 3 months postponement, but they will definitely get the sneaker in that time. There still is a limit, it's not infinite. Nike can't make millions of one sneaker. The overhead would be ridiculous, but they could do multiple runs over a 3-month period just to re-up for the people who actually want it. Now this solves a few issues. One, it negates the effect of resellers by staggering the release. Imagine you're a reseller with a bot and 5 pairs you got on day of, 3 you got in a month, and 2 more you got in 3 months, or maybe even reverse that. It's just not a good look altogether, especially since in 2 or 3 months, another release would have already dropped, leaving cats with a backlog that they do not want. 2, it ensures that those who really want a sneaker can actually get it. Very simple here. If you really want the sneaker, it really shouldn't matter when you get it, just that you get it, right? Would you wait 3 months for your shoe? Maybe, not sure. I don't know. And 3, Nike solves its high heat problem. The issue here is many out there are using sneakers as a means of showcase and not actually wearing them to, continuously wear them. Rotation only applies to the more traditional sneakerhead, and flexing has become more commonplace. Just need to take a look at Instagram to figure that out. Now, to illustrate this point, one need only look at Adidas and how they rolled out Human Races, Ultra Boost, and standard NMDs when they were hot. With the flurry they released, the models lost favor quickly among the resale crowd. There were just too many to calculate, and resellers just abandoned them. Same thing happened with Yeezys. While they still get resold, getting a pair isn't nearly as tough as in years past. So yeah, Nike has some serious work to do, but to think that they didn't know this before is a bunch of hogwash. Of course they knew. They just didn't care because money. But now that cats are moving on to different companies, Nike's is having their come to Jesus moment. Will things change? Perhaps, but I don't expect by much unless Nike employs something more clever than release day or bust. But what are your thoughts on Nike's sneaker problem? Do you have a more elegant solution than the one presented here? Let it be known in the comments. Follow up with us on Patreon for extra content, brand building exercises, and our private Discord, but most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info on international fashion, culture, and business from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu, and I'll see you guys in a minute.